Okay, so at the end of the last tutorial, we had finished up a to-do list application which gave us some CRUD functionality. We could create, read, update, and delete items in our to-do list database. At the end of the tutorial, we had one little issue with the submit button working here, and if you do have that trouble and the data source doesn't refresh, just delete and recreate your data source. But otherwise, we've got this application working. I'm going to run it here and just going to show you all the features. So it was exactly as we left it. The only thing that I did was refresh the data source on this page. So we can create a new item. I'm just going to add some junk here. We can edit that item. We can adjust the text. We can also delete items and so on. So we're going to do some little style things. I'm going to show you a little bit more about how to use the workspace here. So I noticed in our original application I had these there's some things lined up a little differently here. So if we look at that, I also have some styling on the grid, which I'll show you how to do. Is sort of a common thing with the grids. So the first thing here, I had this button sort of aligned there with the form. I also had this form taking up the looks like the normal amount of space, so you can see a little more. It's good just to see this over and over. Now, one of the things here that's really important is how the grid looks for styling things. Very often you want to show a little bit of a different display. So let's go into the theme overrides here. And what we're going to do is, of course, we can change fonts and so on, but look here at this even row color feature. I'm going to change that to something maybe bluish that sort of matches what we're doing. Make that light, a nice light blue, or maybe a green like that. And then we'll turn down this transparency a bit so it's not quite so dark. There we go. Make it more green and fade it away a little bit. There we go. That looks good. So now we have some alternate rows. The even rows are colored. And you'll see in this other, I have the grid looking a little more like it has some lines in it. So if we again go to this this grid and look at its theme, these separators down here, we could take away, for example, the vertical lines, and here, if we want, we can add those lines. So I like this a lot, and I made the vertical color this default border color because the black is a little too dark. So you can play with all these theming capabilities. You're not going to win any awards for building a theme with these sorts of features, but they really do help you to kind of style it the way that you like. Okay, so now we've got the grid looking a little bit nicer. And the biggest issue I see with this, let's go ahead and save this. So I've got this application kind of to a point where I like it. And one of the things I can do at this point is save the application. What I'm going to do is take a snapshot of it and create this snapshot. That way, later on, if I ever need to get back to this point, I can restore it to this exact situation we have right now. That can be really helpful as you're working on things. If you kind of mess things up or don't like the direction that you're going in building an application, just bring it back to that restore point. So again, just go to the application, click on snapshots, and you can create a new snapshot and restore or delete existing snapshots. So we have this kind of working the way I'd like. But one of the biggest issues is that as it is right now, anybody can go to this site and let's look at this and can make any changes they want. This exists on the internet, and someone can come in here and add whatever they want, and they can delete all of my existing posts, and I don't want them to be able to do that. So we're going to use the authentication features in Baserow to keep people from messing with data that we don't want them to mess with. So what we're going to do here, we don't want a user to be able to add items. So the way you guard that, this little piece right here, is to click on the visibility menu and select logged in visitors. Okay, in order to do that, we have to set up some features that allow us to track logged in users. But you're going to see when we come back to this page, that is now grayed out. And you can see if we log in as anonymous, that little grayed out section is one that won't appear. So if I run this application now, view the site, ta-da, there is no user interface to enter a new value. We also want to protect the edit page because we don't want someone just going to that edit page and editing or deleting values. In fact, we want to we don't want to do each of these things separately. We want not just those individual pieces, but the entire page. So we're going to go up here in the page settings and set the visibility to only logged in users. And we don't want it to be all visitors. We want it to be only logged in users. We get a little note here say that we don't have a login page set. So we're going to need to create a login page. And we're also going to need to create some user lists in the data tables, in our database tables. Okay, so let's go ahead and add a login page. And when you go back to the edit page, you're going to see that these things just aren't visible at all. If we click on edit, it just won't appear on the page. So let's go ahead and do this. Add a new page. We're going to call our login page login, and we're going to create an element. We're going to create a login element. There it is, a login form. Okay, and now we need to use a source here, but we don't really have a set of users set up yet. So what we're going to do to make that happen is we're going to go to our database and we're going to add a new table, and we'll call this users. Now these users are application users. They are not the administrator users that you give access to by inviting members. It's not this same list of people. We're going to save the users in a table and use that table as an authentication source for the application. So first thing we want to do is have a name. Let's call this person Joe Blow. And we're going to change this second field. We need to have an email field here. So I'm going to call this email. We're going to make that field an email data type. And let's set a email for Joe, and you can see it won't let us set an invalid email, so it's joe@blow.com. We can leave the active, and we're also going to need a password field. Password field. Keep that named password, and let's give him a password. You're never going to be able to look at passwords. You can only reset them. So if someone loses a password administratively, you can't say, oh yeah, it's 1234. You need to just change it for them. You could change it back to 1234 if you wanted, but you cannot look up an existing password. So let's add Jane Doe as another user, and give her a password also. Okay, so now I have a little list of users that has a name, an email, and a password. Those are required fields in order to build an authentication system in Baserow. Okay, so we're going to go back to our application now, and what we want to do when someone, let's add this source, and take it from our local Baserow. looks like I've already started creating one of these. So what we need to do is try this one more time. Go into our application settings. Just do right there. Edit our existing Baserow table. Authentication is telling us that we are drawing this from a table that doesn't exist. So let's make sure we have this set to our to-do database, and then we're going to use the users table. We can select the field that we're storing the email in, select a field we're storing a name in, and we're just going to make these all default users. We're going to select a password field, save all that, and then on this page, when the user logs in, I want them to go back to the to-do page. Okay, so we now have a login page, and what will happen is if you ever go to a page that is not visible, it's set so that you can see here this little eyeball with a cross through it. If the page setting is set so that only users can log in here, then it'll automatically send them to your login page. So we're going to set that login page now by looking in the app, going to our settings, and we're going to set our login page to this page we created called login. So you do all that stuff manually. You can adjust it how you want. You can make your login pages look however you want. Put some text on top, put an image on top, put some instructions, whatever you want to do on your login page. Just another page, but we have this particular login user interface here that lets us do what we want after the login action has taken place. So after login, open this page. Okay, so now let's see what we got here. We'll publish this. See if we've forgotten anything. So now we can't do anything, and we have forgotten something. I click on the edit. It's going to bring us to this authentication page. We log in joe@blow.com and type in his password. I don't really like the way this page is styled, so I am going to edit that in a minute. And that logs us in. Now we can edit a entry and so on. So you can see when we logged in, once we logged in, it showed us this form. But in order to do that, I had to go to the edit page. So let's do one other little thing here. On our to-do page, let's add one more component here, one more element. And I'm just going to make that a little link. And let's see here, I'm going to style this so it's centered. Kind of keep it small. We'll center the text and make the text say, please, or say click here to log in. I want to say to add to do items. Log in here. That works. Okay, and when we do that, when the user clicks on that button or that link, we will have them go to the login page. And we're going to do one more thing with this. We don't want people seeing that all the time. We only want visitors who are currently logged out to see that. So now I can imagine one more thing we need to do here is we'd like to have a log out button so that if someone comes along on this machine, we can log out and keep them from working with the application. Now let's do something a little tricky here. What I'm going to do is add a column up here, and we'll set that column to only have 2 columns. And instead of having our to-do list sitting here, I am going to, or our little header sitting there, we'll put it up here. And in this column over here, I'm going to stick a button, and we're going to make that button say log out. And I'm going to style that a little bit so that it is, let's see here, so that it's right side. These are nicely styled. I'm not liking the color of this, so I'm going to go back here and change some of these change some of these colors. Let's make this more blue again. Do something more like this. Make it a little lighter. That looks a little better to me. Okay, so now we've got a button. Maybe we'll, not a button, a link. Maybe we'll change the font size here just to be a little bigger so people can see that more obviously. Okay, I think we're doing better now. Let's publish this. Site. Okay, so our style changes. For some reason, we do not have a button. Let's see here. There is. Aha. We haven't added. And you can see here when you make a mistake and the system can tell that something hasn't been done, you'll get this little pinkish overlay saying, hey, there's something here that needs to be attended to. So let's take a look at that. The problem is we haven't assigned an event to that button. So what we want to do when the person clicks that button is we want to log out. And when we log out and we're on a page that has some visibility settings, it will readjust that page so that items aren't seen. I still don't like the color here too, so let's just get used to working like this. Adjust things as we need. Make that even a little darker and a little more transparent. There, I like that much better. Okay, publish it. Okay, view your site. That's looking good. Let's click the logout button. And you can see it's changed now. The display now shows to add to-do items, log in here. Click there, brings us to the login page. I'll change this styling, but let's log in Jane Doe. JaneDoe.com. And actually it was Jane Doe and password. There we go. Now we're logged in. You can see the submission form. Everything works. We can get to the edit page, do what we need to do, and if we log out, that submission form is now hidden, and we click here, it tells us we need to log in because that whole page is hidden. So we now have a fully authenticated application that allows users to do only what we want them to do. I'll change one more thing here and style this. Let's just make that a little bit smaller. In fact, let's make that with very small. So we log in. I think we've done enough editing here. This should look and work basically like the example that we started with. So we can log in. Here you can see a little nicer form. Let's get Joe to in here. Joe at Todo.com. Perfect. He's logged in. He can edit. And he can add items. And when he's done doing his work, he can log out. So we can give users access to the things we want them to see and the actions we want them to be able to take and the interfaces we want them to be able to work with and entire pages. And just remember, if you set the visibility for a user interface on a page to require a login, it will simply disappear on the page and no longer be there until a person's logged in. When you log in, it will, there we go. Yeah. I could hide this too, for example. Let's do that just to make this even clearer, kind of work on our interface as much as we can. So log out, we only want that to show for logged in visitors. So now we run this again. Go to our to-do tutorial at 101compute.com. Now, there we go. There's no log out button, but So when we log in, here, then we get the log out button showing when the person, only when the person is logged in. And you saw a little bit more about lining things on the screen and putting things in columns. That whole system of just kind of adding elements down a page, and then whenever you need something to go on the right and left of a page or to be aligned horizontally, use columns. You can do so much with the layout of a page using just that little system. Okay, so I think we've got what we need here. Let's go back, and I think this is done. Let's go to our application again, and we will do a snapshot, create another. We can give it a list. We'll say with auth complete, and done. So now we can restore those if we ever need to get back to this point. And we'll just move on from there. So we'll see you in the next tutorial.